I picked up this fantastic box of blank watercolor paper postcards from my local art store, and it got me so inspired to create a few Christmas presents for some of the family that I'm not going to be seeing this year. So stick around today because I've got 5 super adorable little nature paintings that I can't wait to share with you. Hey friends, it's Caleigh Bird and welcome back to the nest. I figured since I'm going to be making some holiday postcards, I better get the place really cozy by playing basically the only Christmas music I can stand, this old record I've had since I was a little kid. Now, of course, one never wants to start a painting without a plan, so I went ahead and did a few little sketches. I'm just taking inspiration from some plants and other nature things I've got around my house. I'll show you all of those specifically more later. I decided to do 4 postcards, and I'm actually going to add one more little thing, this cute mushroom bookmark for one of my best friends. So I'll be painting with gouache today, and I will leave a list of all my materials in the description below. If you purchase anything from my links, it goes to support this channel with no extra cost to you, so thank you very much. Because gouache are so persnickety and can reconstitute with water, I usually tend to do my backgrounds first on my gouache paintings and let them completely dry before going in with my foreground. So the yellow in this little ginkgo leaves is already dry before I'm going in and doing a little bit more detail. It just really helps to prevent the foreground from blending in with the background too much with these gouache. I don't know if you've used gouache mutts, but yeah, they can get pretty mixed and pretty muddied pretty easily. So I'm kind of using the ginkgo leaves as sort of like my warm-up experiment because it's definitely the most simple of all designs. But hey, ginkgo is like a great symbol of longevity and health and everything, so I think it's a really good symbol to send to someone as well as just being a really cute design. Next, I decided to do this really awesome cactus with the most unbelievable spikes that I have ever seen in my life. And this one was definitely the most complex out of all of them, but I just was like, okay, take a deep breath, Caleigh, you've got this, don't stress it too much. Definitely deciding to do a combination of both painting and drawing, I think is going to be a good one for this because, well, as you'll see in the end, my plan kind of changes, but initially my thought was to paint the entire cactus, like body, the little meaty part, and then do all of these long crazy spikes in pencil, colored pencil. It didn't quite work out like that. You'll see what I mean a little bit later, but just wait till you see this cactus. Don't worry, I'm going to show it to you, but these spikes are like the craziest thing in the whole wide world. But that's what this all is about, you know, like kind of figuring things out. This is actually the first time I ever decided to combine gouache with colored pencil, and some worked out and some didn't, so, you know, can't wait to show you. Ooh, now this little leaf trio might have actually wound up being my favorite one. Not only the physical painting of it, because I actually really like painting things a little bit more graphically in gouache. I kind of have a hard time doing like smooth blends in gouache the way I do in oil painting, which I don't know. I was going to say I think a lot of people do, but I'm going to take that back because I've seen some people do some pretty amazing color blends in gouache, but I have a really hard time with it. So I like doing a little bit more graphic imagery with the gouache. It can get really nice, bold, you know, flat color feels, which looks really good. And so I think that this variegated leaf trio might have been my favorite. It was fun to kind of like trace out all of the different variations in the green in these leaves. And then I just think that in the very end, it turned out looking really, really close to the leaves. So I was satisfied with this one. I think I might try painting more of my houseplants that have these sort of bold, variegated, you know, stripes or colors in them in the future, because this one was like really satisfying, just filling in each and every little color field. So as far as who I'm sending these to, I've got a few different family members up in Canada. Big spoiler alert, Caleigh Bird is actually Canadian. What? Yeah, I only lived there till I was about 2 because it was too cold for mama, but technically I was born in Toronto. My dad is Canadian. His whole side of the family is up there. And believe it or not, I am not really able to visit my Canadian family very often, and I miss them a whole bunch. They're really very cool. My aunts and uncles are so sweet and fun. My cousin, or one of my closest cousins, is a really awesome artist. I miss him so much. So yeah, so I'm actually creating these little paintings to send to my Canadian family because, you know, I really wanted to send them something extra special to let them know that I think about them all of the time. So all of my other painting subjects are plants, except for this one. This one I am doing 2 little blue jay feathers that my boyfriend found in his backyard. They're so vibrant and lovely, and I just thought that this would be a nice little one to send. This one is actually going to be sent to some extended family in Charleston. Everything else is going up to Canada, but this one is actually going to be going to some of my family here in Charleston. So that's going to be exciting since they're up on the coast and they are definitely nature lovers. I think that they will appreciate some feathers. And I actually surprised myself with how much I enjoyed painting these feathers. I mean, I knew that they were going to be a very lovely and pretty subject, but I was a little nervous because I thought this might be one of the more difficult ones just because, I don't know, there's like a little bit more detail in the stripes and I wanted to get all the little wisps just right and everything. But in the end, this wound up actually being not very difficult to paint and really satisfying. And I could definitely see myself painting more like little, you know, feather postcards or that kind of thing, or maybe even incorporating them into some of my oil paintings, like doing like a painted layer or something like that. I'm not really sure, but I just wound up really enjoying the painting process of these feathers a lot more than I was expecting. So that's always kind of nice, right? Okay, now these 2 little mushroom lights are the only ones I'm not doing from life, obviously, since mushrooms don't light up. And if I had living mushrooms in my house, well, it would probably be a pretty moist environment. But what I really wanted to do, which was the big experimentation, was could I make these little mushrooms look like they were actually lit up? And you can see with the grass, I'm trying to actually kind of make it look almost like rounded, like a bowl-shaped sort of highlight. So I think it turned out pretty well. Okay, and now it is time to bust out the Prismacolors. I have literally had these 2 boxes of Prismacolors since middle school and been adding to them and using them ever since. You can see how short some of these are, but hey, you know, still good, still good. So this ginkgo leaf is actually really exciting because this shows the very first time I have ever added colored pencil to gouache. Woo-woo! Always love experimenting with new materials. But yeah, I like how it turned out. The nice thing was is that at least in this painting, the gouache was not super thick, so I was able to get the nice tooth of the paper to really come through. So all in all, I think it turned out really well. I really loved incorporating this black colored pencil in with my feathers. It was just enough to kind of add a little definition, you know, a little contrast in there. I think it really just kind of bumped it up, elevated it just the right amount. The plan was certainly to use colored pencil with my little variegated pothos too, but by the time I was done, I was like, my gosh, this looks so close. I don't know if I even want to muddy it up with any other marks. So, you know, ta-da! I did add a tiny bit of colored pencil to the mushrooms, but I know it's really hard to see from here. You'll see it up close in a sec. Now for this last guy, this big crazy cactus. Okay, so I had tried drawing on the spikes with colored pencil, but it just did not show up. You just couldn't see the colored pencil. I think I had maybe done the gouache a little bit too thick, so the tooth of the paper, I don't know, it just, you know, it's just not opaque. White colored pencil is just not super opaque. So I wound up going in with white gouache and then with colored pencil over that, but honestly, I didn't really like how that looked either, so then I just went back in with some very light pink and kind of pale yellow gouache to finish up those. So this one actually wound up having no colored pencil on it, even though this was sort of the inspiration initially when I very first thought about this project as like, oh, this would be a really good one to combine the two. But you know, I think it turned out pretty well. I'm really excited. Now you see what I mean with all of these crazy spikes. Like, oh, I love this cactus so much. Okay, now check out these blue jay feathers. They turned out so vibrant. I was really happy with these. You can see I actually used a little bit of a kneaded eraser to hold them in place. So there's a little pro tip if you ever try painting feathers on your own. And hello, ginkgo. Talk about those colored pencils giving some definition. I think that really elevated this piece. It would have been pretty stale without it. As I said, I just decided to keep the variegated pothos just as it was. Here's just another quick peek at this beautiful, vibrant little leaf. Now, as far as these cozy little glowing mushrooms, I am making this into a bookmark, as I said, for one of my best friends. So I actually cut a little rectangle off of a really pretty Kleenex box and am going to use some packing tape because gouache often will come off on your fingers. So I wanted to make sure that it would be a safe and sturdy little bookmark that you could actually handle and use for years and years. I'm so happy how the mushrooms turned out. And of course, what's a postcard without a super special little holiday note written in gold pen with so much love? Now, because gouache painting should not really be handled that much, and they're going all the way to Canada where they could get very destroyed in the process, I decided to actually mail these postcards in envelopes. I cut out little pieces of cardboard so they would stay stiff and not fold, and I'm putting each one in its own little envelope just as a little Christmas present from me to my family. I love you guys! You ever wondered how to create your own manufactured greeting cards? Well, pop on over to this video and find out. It's not that hard. Thanks, guys. See you next time.